Sport and Peacebuilding. The Sport and Peacebuilding panel will aim to introduce and get a conversation going on the topic of sport as a vehicle to foster people-to-people interactions, expose youth to diversity, as well as promote peace, mutual respect, and understanding across the island. The panelists will share their thoughts and recommendations in this regard, both in terms of opportunities and challenges from their personal experience having worked in and on sports in Cyprus and/or internationally. The discussion is co-organized with the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sophia Papamichalopoulos, IOC Young Leader, founder of Winds of Change. Nesrin Yuceulas, PhD student, former volleyball player, Anagennisi Deryneia FC. Okan Dagli, author of Together in Football. Nicolas, Program Coordinator, Peace Players Cyprus. Aziyade Poltier-Mutal, United Nations Office in Geneva. The moderator is Arnaud Amourouz, UN Office of the Special Advisor to the Secretary General on Cyprus. Ladies and gentlemen, kalos orίσατε, welcome, hoş geldiniz.
Thank you very much. So my name is indeed Arnaud Amourouz. I work as a political affairs officer in the Office of the Special Advisor of the Secretary General on Cyprus. Good offices in short. As some of you may know, last year the Cyprus Forum ended with a panel discussion on the topic of peace building. More specifically, it was peace building through entrepreneurship, research, and creativity. So today we wanted to continue with this newly established tradition to have a specific session dedicated to the important topic of peace building. However, we will be doing it through a slightly different lens, as we want to focus on the linkages between sport and peace building. So why sport? Well, sport has the unique ability to bring people together. It helps connect individuals and communities in a special way. Sport is a universal. It speaks to all in a language that they can understand. It has the power to transcend differences, but also to break down barriers. Lastly, it elevates or at least inspires. So all of this, I think, and I believe the panelists as well, is quite significant, especially at the time where the UN on the island feels that there is a need to build bridges and encourage people-to-people interactions across the island. You may have heard my boss this morning, the SASG, Mr. Colin Stewart, stressing the importance of building new ties as well as strengthening existing ones, both for restoring trust, but also for reinvigorating the prospect of a solution in Cyprus. These efforts are through active, regular interactions across all segments of society, and this is precisely where sport can play an important role. And that's why we feel this discussion today is important. Let me also say that sport is no silver bullet that holds a solution to all problems or challenges. But as part of a broader toolkit of action, policies, or initiatives, it can help improve the overall atmosphere and create conducive conditions for something better to come. The power of sport goes beyond leading healthy lifestyles. It is more than just getting some fresh air or kicking a ball. Sport can offer a platform. It can offer valuable opportunities for children, young adults to meet, to interact, to learn from one another, and perhaps even dispel fears or false ideas. And who knows, even forge relationships or friendships along the way. So this is what this panel discussion will try to bring to the fore today, and hopefully we also be able to get a conversation going on this important topic. Therefore, it is my pleasure to have 5 distinguished guests, 4 here and 1 online, whose work, personal journeys, and experience illustrate and showcase this rarely discussed reality of sport as a tool to promote peace and foster mutual understanding and respect. They will speak about past, current, future initiatives here in Cyprus and beyond, and share some lessons learned along the way, offer some reflections, thoughts as well as recommendations on ways to move forward. The 5 of them represent 4 sports, and perhaps the 4 most popular sports on the island. We've got football, basketball, volleyball, and sailing represented. And their common motto is to give peace a sporting chance. So without any further ado, let me now start introducing the panelists. As a matter of fact, I won't introduce too much our first panelist, Sophia, because my first question is about her personal journey. But let me simply say that Sophia is a half Cypriot, half Austrian. She's a former Olympian and a general surgeon, currently exercising in Switzerland. And that's it in terms of introduction. Please, Sophia, tell us a little bit about yourself. What has been your personal journey, and what makes you think that sport can serve as a force for good, as an agent of change? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So sport has played a major role for me growing up, and it has probably taught me some of the most valuable lessons in life. And I'm a firm believer that sport has the power to change the world. In 2010, I proudly represented Cyprus at the Olympic Games in Vancouver, together with my brother. And I remember us entering the Olympic Stadium and me realizing that this was so much more than a competition. It felt like a celebration of diversity and inclusion and solidarity. Another powerful moment for me was my first bicommunal experience when I was 16 through a Fulbright summer camp, which was a very eye-opening and meaningful moment for me, also because my family are refugees. And even back then, I felt that sport could be such a great tool to bring the 2 divided communities together. Sorry, and that thought stayed in the back of my mind for a long time. And fast forward 12 years from then, I was again in the Olympic Stadium, this time in Korea, watching the North and South Korean athletes march in under one flag. One of the most powerful moments in Olympic history, and the moment for me that brought back those thoughts and triggered the idea, okay, what can I do to use sport for peace building in Cyprus? And the reason why I think sport is such a great force for good is because it can impact people on so many different levels, and it can be utilized in so many different ways. And I think the basis of this impact is the effect that it has on people on a personal level. And I like to describe it as pillars using the Olympic and Paralympic values of friendship, respect, excellence, equality, determination, courage, and inspiration. And I think it's through these values that sport has the power and drives transformational change in our communities and can promote social development and peace. And so 2 years ago, I became an IOC Young Leader. It's an opportunity from the International Olympic Committee to create my own social development project through sport. And also, we focus on the UN Social Development Goals. And while my project focuses on peace building, the other young leaders are tackling other social development goals. For example, a young leader from Brazil is using basketball in a favela to promote gender equality and education in marginalized children. Another young leader in Egypt is using table tennis to reduce inequality for people with physical disabilities. So there's countless examples out there of how sport really has the power to create positive change.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Let me now move on to Nesrin, to your right. Nesrin, you are originally from Famagusta, and you played for 3 years as a setter for the volleyball team of Deryneia in 2nd division. So for those of you who are not familiar with volleyball positions, the setter is the player responsible for strategizing the team attack. So it's quite a critical function. And since January 2022, you had to put your career on hold as you moved to Nicosia to start a PhD in oil, gas, and energy engineering. So quite a different field of work. Could you maybe, Nesrin, please tell us about your experience playing for Deryneia? How did you come to join the team? How was it to play and interact with your fellow teammates, the managers, the fans? Yeah, you were telling me about an anecdote. I don't know if you're going to mention it, but please, the floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm literally, as you said, I'm from Famagusta. I studied chemistry in United Kingdom, and I've been there like for 4 years, and I played there volleyball as well. I was team manager there, and I've seen lots of different people from different nationalities. And when I started to play in Deryneia, I realized that two communities, like Turkish-speaking Cypriots and Greek-speaking Cypriots, are no different from each other in terms of like their behavior, their reactions, the only thing that difference is their language they're speaking. My dad is from Lurigina, which is on the Green Line, a village on the Green Line, and he used to speak both Greek and Turkish. So he used to have friends in Deryneia when I was studying in England. And my dad is also from the board of a volleyball club in Famagusta that I was playing. And they used to do some bi-communal activities like bi-communal volleyball playings in summers, like beach volleys and stuff. And that's how they grow friendship together. And Deryneia Volleyball Club asked for my dad to find a setter for them. He asked for a couple players, but it was literally the beginning of the season and most of the players were occupied. And he made a joke like, my daughter is a setter, but she's not in Cyprus. And they were like, okay, bring her when she's on holiday and we can see if we can work with her. And it like literally grew like that. I joined their trials, and when I finished my studies, because it was in my last year, they offered me to come and play with them. And I didn't have a team when I came back in Famagusta, because they closed the team in Famagusta, and I was like, why not? And that's how I started to playing for them, and it was like 3 years. I never felt that I'm in a different country or something like that, like I felt in UK, because they were always welcoming to me. Even in my first trial there, they were coming to me to meet me. They were playing like I've always played with them. They were helping me to, if I have anything, for example, if I want to buy something from there, they were like, okay, there's the shop, and there is like, you can shower here in the, where we are training. They were always helping to me. I never felt that I'm somewhere else. Like, I literally felt like home there. All like my teammates. My coach was a perfect woman. She was like friend, mother, and like coach for all of us. And yeah, like even when in the beginning of this season, they offered me to come and play, but it was not economically or like physically possible for me to travel from Nicosia to Famagusta 3 times a week or 4 times a week. So I had to reject them. And all the fans were like, to my father, because he was passing there, they were like, why your daughter is not playing? We were like, we want her to play. But unluckily, this year it was not possible. Yeah, right. It was a good experience though.
Thank you very much, Nesrin, for this story. Our third panelist is Okan, Dagli. Okan is our second doctor on the panel. So we are well equipped with general practitioners. He's also a well-known peace activist and author of several books, including the one which I recommend, Together in Football. So Okan, with you, we've been hearing about grassroots sport. Maybe let's look at elite sport. And we've been hearing about today. Let's take a journey down memory lane. Your book is about what you call the bi-communal footballers, Turkish Cypriots playing in the Greek Cypriot clubs back in the late 50s. I wonder how much of those stories are known by the public. Some of them are very inspiring. Could you maybe introduce to us some of the lives and achievements of those bi-communal footballers? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a specialist in internal medicine. 10 years in Istanbul and back to Cyprus. I'm Famagustian, and I didn't play football, but I am a big fan of football. Maybe I watched thousands of games in every country when I go. watch them. And when I was in Cyprus after the 1993, I think that searched the players and bi-communal players who played together, and I found 1940s who played football in the Greek teams or Cyprus national teams together after the 1940s, and I would like to share with you my observation from the work I have done so far, starting from the years when football and the island were not divided yet. We have many football players. We have played together in the football teams of both Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, or the Cyprus national team since 1940s. I talked to many of them and recorded what they said. I have not heard a single story of hostility from players who wear the same jersey together in the years when fanatical nationalism was at its peak. I would like to conclude my speech by writing down the stories of Ali and Fikret brothers, who played in the unorthodox team of Famagusta, which is famous for its fanatical nationalist supporters, Greek Cypriots. And what I experienced after their death, the unorthodox team has never forgotten these two players who contributed to the trophies unorthodox won in 1949 and 1950. They always called them, asked, invited them to football matches. And I witnessed once again in their death that they were remembered even 70 years after the years they played. While unorthodox executive attended Ali's funeral and put their team's jerseys and scarves in their coffins. Even the Turkish Cypriot teams with whom he played later did not. Unorthodox managers who received the late news of Fikret's, brothers of Ali, death, conveyed their sadness, and they announced a resume for a football player, Fikret, on the stadium loudspeaker, which also explained that Fikret was a football player who won the trophies in 1950, before the kick-off of our football player in the first league match they played at home. For a minute, all the fans stood in a moment of silence. This was an example of how football unites players and people, excluding ideology and fanatism, even in the years when the island was far from peace.
Thank you very much, Okan. I'm now coming to Stephanie, my neighbor. Stephanie was born in Nicosia. Her involvement in basketball goes back to 2005. In 2011, she joined Peace Players International in Cyprus and is now their internal operations manager. So, Stephanie, could you please introduce to us Peace Players International? How was the organization created? What does it stand for? And what are you trying to achieve here in Cyprus? And if you could maybe also explain to us how you've been using the game of basketball to promote intercultural awareness and mutual understanding, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. So yes, Peace Players is basically a US non-profit organization, and it was founded with the idea of using basketball as a tool to bridge the divide between conflicted communities. So the two brothers that founded Peace Players, they started with the idea in Northern Ireland, and then they opened up the first department of the organization in South Africa. Then they opened another site in Northern Ireland. They moved to the Middle East. And in 2006, we opened the site of Peace Players Cyprus. Since 2017, we've been opening up more sites in the US in collaboration with Nike and MBA Foundation. But coming back to Cyprus, in 2006, we started here. And our motto is children who play together can learn to live together as well. So like Sophia said, it's the aspect of bringing kids together from conflicted communities, and in Cyprus having the intercommunal aspect. We're using basketball to bridge the divide between these communities and other minority communities that we have in Cyprus as well. So we're using basketball basically, it's been 20 years since we founded the organization. And generally, I don't mean in Cyprus, but basketball is basically the main tool that we use, and we have seen a big development throughout the years, because we also go based on the changes that society is providing. In the past, it was more communal. We were bringing the two communities together. But now we're going based on the changes. So we're inviting in refugee kids, asylum seekers, other minority groups. So we're offering this big, aspect and organization to kids and youth from ages 8 to 18 to actually be part of something bigger than them and bigger than Cyprus as a whole and as a country. So yeah, we have a lot of programs. We have a lot of leadership development programs that are happening. And the partnership that we have with the international sites as well is helping that aspect to improve even more the organization and even provide more opportunities for the kids and youth that we have in Cyprus and go to different exchanges, meet other people from other sites, meet the other communities and other parts of Cyprus that they haven't met before. So we're giving that extra chance to youth to meet, develop, and increase their own capacity and self-development and self-confidence through programs like this.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Let me now come to our fifth and last panelist, who unfortunately could not be with us today. Aziyade Poltier-Mutal is in Geneva, where she will be attending an important meeting tomorrow, so unfortunately she could not be with us. Aziyade is the head of the Perception Change Project at the UN office in Geneva. She has worked in the field of communications and public relations for more than 20 years. During her time with UNDP, she also managed the 12 annual matches against poverty. Some of you may have heard about it. It was initiated by football players Ronaldo Nazario and Zinedine Zidane. And through her career, she has contributed to the Sports for Development and Peace activities with international sport organizations based in Switzerland. So, Aziyade, could you please give us a short overview of the UN's current engagement in the field of sport for development and peace? What's the philosophy behind it? And what are the linkages with the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Thank you.
Thank you, Arno, and thank you for inviting me to the Cyprus Forum. I'm really... Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yeah, okay. So I really regret I cannot be in Nicosia today. I would have preferred to be in Nicosia than in Geneva, cold Geneva, but well, it will be for next time. So yes, the United Nations has been using sport as a tool in development cooperation and humanitarian aid efforts for decades. And in recent years, the UN has increasingly recognized the power of sports to achieve its objectives and especially sustainable development goals. Annually, since 2003, the UN General Assembly has adopted a resolution on sport as a means to promote education, health, development, and peace. And the Secretary General of the UN reports each year to the General Assembly on the implementation of the resolution and on sport for development and peace activities at the national, regional, and international levels. Today, UNDESA Division for Inclusive Social Development houses the substantive mandate on sport for development and peace at the United Nations and has recently launched, last year, the UN Interagency Group on Sports for Development and Peace to serve as an inclusive internal interagency network operating at the global level to identify key joint priorities and projects. In the case of Geneva, where I am based, you may know that the office hosted the United Nations Office on Sport for Development and Peace from its inception in 2008 until its closure in 2017. But the office remains a key facilitator and convener of the work done by the United Nations entities, and especially all the sports federations that are based in Switzerland and in Geneva. With the International Labour Organization and UNESCO, we have established an informal group of sport for development and peace focal points from United Nations entities and other stakeholders, including sports federations and NGOs. And last but not least, we have now 6th of April, that was declared the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace by the UN General Assembly to raise awareness of the very strong potential of sports in many aspects of our daily lives.
Thank you, Aziyade. Second round of questions, and we are doing good time-wise, so let's keep it up. Sophia, you came today with a project that you would like to tell us about. It's called Winds of Change. Can you please introduce it for us? Thank you.
So, Winds of Change aims to create the first bicommunal Cypriot team that will sail around the island together for the first time. It's aimed at Cypriots between the ages of 18 and 30, and no prior sailing experience is needed. We want to guide this team through a series of intense team development workshops and teach them how to sail and prepare them for the final challenge of this program, which will be to sail around the island together, hopefully navigating towards a more peaceful future for our country. And I think the main goal that we want to achieve through the program and through their journey is to inspire. We want to inspire young Cypriots to engage in more bicommunal activities. We want to promote the use of sport in the peace-building process in Cyprus. And we want to basically also show what the power of sport is and how it can bring people together. And we also want to promote a bottom-up approach, because we believe that even though we need our politicians to come up with political agreements, we also believe that people make peace, and we need to create more opportunities for them to do so. So overall, we want to challenge the team, we want to empower it, and through their journey, we want to inspire, and we want to do it together.
Thank you very much. Nesrin, why is the sport so important in your life? I mean, we've been hearing from Stephanie about the life skills, the soft skills that one learns, through sport as well. Could you maybe share some anecdotes about that? And what would you like to see in place so that the youth of the island gets more chances to come together through sport? If you have any thoughts on that. Thank you.
I've been playing volleyball for 15 years now, and it's like my safe zone. When I'm angry, when I'm nervous, when I'm stressed, like, it always makes me feel better in a way that it calms me, it makes me relax. And like, we all have, during our education, we all have exams weeks and stuff, and that was the times that I had to cut volleyball to study. And exams are stressful, and because I didn't do any sports, I feel more stressful during that period. But it's the only time that I have to stop. It is like a therapy for me. And I bet all of the sports players feel the same way. And the way that it tires your body, it gives your brain time to relax from thinking, like from intense workshops and going on thinking in your head. For me, it's the way of relaxing, basically.
Thanks. Okan, the SRSG this morning spoke about the need to strengthen ties between people on the island. What do you think of that, and what would you like to see also in place today so that we have more people-to-people interactions?
I think that football and sports can still play an important role in building peace in the future of the island. I think that very talented athletes can be trained all over the island, not only in football, volleyball, or teams games, but also in the individual sports such as tennis, shooting, and athletics. I fully believe that this will make a very positive contributions to all kinds of sports and football island peace, to the extent that the procedural bias and rigid understandings about the deadlock created by the politicians can be overcome. The political powers that dominate both sides of the island should stop mixing the politics-sports relationship with each other until today. If it is desired to pave the way for mutual sports encounters on the island, it is essential to remove the pressure of politics on sports. Unless this is done, it is not possible for the athletes of the two sides to compete with each other, either individually or as teams. In the last 38 years, Yeni Cami, Nea Salamina, and Mausa Türk Gücü clubs have been able to achieve this and play football among themselves despite extraordinary efforts and the negative attitudes of their own political authorities. Unfortunately, these two matches in 2005 and 2019 were the only two matches that took place in the last 38 years, but its continuity could not be ensured. However, in the universality of sports, it is possible to make friendly encounters and informal encounters by looking at the past examples. For this, sports clubs should come together and start individual and team matches as soon as possible with the scope of confidence-building measures.
Thank you, Okan, and thank you for making the effort to speak in English as well, because you could have spoken in Turkish, but thanks for that. Stephanie, let me come back to you. As we know, monitoring evaluation is key to see what has been working and what could be improved. Could you tell us about the ripple effect of your activities for the past 15 years or so? Perhaps even highlight some of your most meaningful achievements, what you are most proud of, and maybe what are the challenges that you are faced with. Thanks.
Being the only year-round sport by communal organization on the island, we actually need to put tools in effective tools in work, basically, to actually track everything that we do island-wide. And because we have teams all over Cyprus, from Iskele, Famagusta, Geneva, Lapta, Nicosia, Dagli, Dagli, Limassol, we're opening now, Larnaca as well. We need to keep track of everything that's happening. So the idea is we keep track of all the attendances and all the participants that are coming through our program, and we monitor that even more, so we see the effectiveness that the program has throughout the years. And we realized this year as well, with the help of our monitoring and evaluation expert, that the year has been improving and has improved a lot last year. We've seen that more than 25% of our participants have been coming to all the intercommunal events that we're having throughout the island. And what I mean throughout the island is we're crossing kids back and forth. So we get to see children actually be able to cross through checkpoints, experiencing that element that we're trying to provide through the organization as well, and seeing other kids in other communities. And the fact that we're tracking everything, it shows the ripple effect of someone that started in 2006 and is now still in the program as a coach. And I think a big achievement for us as Peace Players Cyprus is because of the monitoring aspect, we actually see how a child has improved throughout the years. We've provided opportunities for them through leadership development program, through exchanges in other countries. And now we have, out of 14 coaches, 10 of them are alumni participants that have graduated through the program. And I think that shows that we're providing the youth the opportunity to actually be there, developed, but also we're providing them a platform to kind of seek that basketball element that they want to improve and become the next coach and the next advocate for peace in their own community and in Cyprus generally. And it's nice to see the development that the organization has had throughout the years, and I think getting the word out that we're here, we exist, we want to provide even more youth and more children like the safe space to actually be there and be part of something bigger than themselves in a way. It's something that we kind of want to gain and give to the society and the community and the youth generally. And seeing all these kids graduate, it's been an amazing experience, I think, and that's the big bravo, I guess, that we can get and that we're most proud of, I think, as an organization.
Thank you very much. Aziyade, being the only non-Cypriot panelist today, I wonder if you have any thoughts after hearing the four panelists here with me. And also if you could maybe share other examples from other contexts that you think would be worth sharing with our friends here. Thank you.
I didn't hear the second part of the question.
If there are any other contexts, any other examples from other contexts that you would like also to bring to the fore for the benefit of Cypriots. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I've heard many good examples. Now, of course, there are numerous and endless examples of good projects, peace-building projects in sports. I can talk about, I don't know, Ivory Coast, for example, where Didier Drogba has been very active. The Sport for Peace project, which uses the attraction of play and sports to bring together different communities. We have Burundi, Uganda, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, when we know that former child soldiers were really included in very successful sports programs. We have sports tournaments between countries, I would say India, Pakistan, cricket. Well, we have many projects, and then on a more personal level, I would say that, for example, the 12 matches that you mentioned really was a partnership between Ronaldo, Zidane, many former players. We raised $4 million for post-COVID projects in Haiti, Pakistan, Philippines. So I think the examples are there, but what we're realizing, and I'm hearing what you're saying, you know, is you have volleyball, football, and then basketball, and then sailing. And regarding the ball games, for example, I think that ball games are possibly one of the most popular choices when it comes to using sports as a tool for engagement, especially among the youth. And sailing, of course, brings a very powerful message to convey among different territories. What really is very impactful in sports, I would say, is that this capacity of putting together so many stakeholders together. And I'm not talking only about the United Nations or the sports associations, of course, federations, also the NGOs, and above everything, the athletes and the practitioners, and how we can put together projects together. Now, what this forum is showing is that what we really need is more networking. We have to promote the positive impact of sport on community welfare, a better awareness of inspiring case studies, of which there are so many. Here in Geneva, we have a very nice event on the 21st of September, which is Peace Day at the United Nations, and this is called the Peace Talks. And the Peace Talks really wants to bring any good inspirational story of people that are making extraordinary contributions to peace. And I think that you all are doing a very nice, a very good contribution. So I think that I can already start saying that I can put you in contact with the organizers. We organize that in the Palais, and I think that the next year we should definitely have one project from your side.
Thank you, Aziyade. Thank you also for the invitation to Geneva. So I guess all the panelists took note of that. I wonder if anybody wants to give any last remarks before we conclude. We are doing extremely well time-wise. I don't know, Sophia, Nesrin, Okan, or Stephanie? No? Well, thank you very much then. I mean, we've been hearing about personal journeys, experiences, very inspiring messages, as well as policy recommendations to solve practical problems. We've heard about teamwork, resilience, self-respect, and respect for others. And I think those are all fundamental ingredients for peaceful and inclusive societies. It is indeed an impressive range of positive outcomes that can be achieved through sport, and hopefully today's discussion will have also raised the profile and the awareness about the potential of sport as a tool for building peace. By way of conclusion, I would like to quote Nelson Mandela. You can never go wrong by quoting the great statesman. This is what he said back in 2000. Sport has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. Sport can awaken hope where there was previously only despair. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good day.
Thank you.
Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Teşekkürler.